pretty seismic news coming out of Rangers today. Kevin Thelwell and Patrick Stewart, they've left the building.
Yeah, it's all happening. We'll even get an update with the Celtic new manager situation, which we'll bring later in the show, Dan. But yeah,
Yep.
chaos at Rangers, and I think good chaos, not before time chaos. Exactly the kind of chaos that was really required from Andrew Cavenagh and Parag Marath. They've obviously billeted their chief executive Patrick Stewart, the sporting director Kevin Thelwell, and not a moment too soon. These guys, Hoddit and Doddit, have been presiding over an absolute bin fire since, I don't know, since the end of last season. Some really odd decision making, some incredible appointments made, an absolute write-off of a transfer window which cost millions. Yeah, and do you know what? Kudos to Andrew Cavenagh, because we're saying that this has been ongoing, and it has been going on for some considerable time. And I think it was easy to identify at the start. And Daniel, what's my phrase? What was the phrase that I said to you from day one? I don't know how many times I've had to repeat it.
It was always going to get a bit worse.
It will always get always going to get worse before it get any better. And I think a lot of that was based around how long will it take them to identify the issues that they've got inside their own build. And Kevin Thelwell, I think, was chief among them. It's hard to think of anything really that he got right. I think his judgment's all over the place. Pretty much an unmitigated disaster, and that stretches back to the way that he mishandled the recruitment process for a new manager. I think he totally botched that, and then ended up delivering Russell Martin. That was another incredible misstep. And by the way, at that point, it becomes a sacking offence. So everything that then happened after Russell Martin, it was only just going to be a matter of how much patience, how much time the Americans were going to have. And it's, I think that the end was inevitable. What I would say is it does feel as if it's stretched out, but really in relative terms, it's not that long. The American owners have only been in 6 months.
Yeah.
They've made a real big couple of decisions here. And I think that will give the Rangers support out there a bit of hope, because I think the fear for them, the concern for them was, how can you guys not see what we're all seeing? But they've acted swiftly, decisively, ruthlessly. And now I think the key part is that was the easy bit. I guess reaching the conclusion that these guys weren't fit for purpose was the easy bit. The hard bit's going to be making sure that they source real, credible, professional leaders that are capable of taking Rangers on to the next level. And if they can do that, Dan, then they've addressed all the key fundamental issues that needed addressed and that have been needing addressed at Ibrox for some considerable time. And that puts them in a strong place, actually.
Yeah.
You look at what's going on with the turmoil at Celtic, and I think everybody, to a man, will said it's difficult to understand how that situation resolves itself.
Yeah.
What the direction is for Celtic, with a principal owner that has no intention of giving up any sort of power, and a support which is now in full-scale rebellion against them. Meanwhile, him and his son are running about machine gunning everybody at AGMs. So these are really complex issues that Celtic need to try and navigate their way through. Rangers, on the other hand, if they get these appointments right, they're in a really solid position. I mean, they're still years behind Celtic in terms of what's going on the pitch, but this would be a really significant step forward, just so long as they do hire the right people. Now, I've written a piece that's been up online, and the one bit of caution, the one bit of advice I would offer to Andrew Cavenagh, Parag Marath, which I'm sure they won't take, but obviously Greta Steinson has been a key guy, and he kind of floats about in the shadows a little bit, not given an official role, no official capacity, but he's highly influential and has been highly influential in some of the decision making that's gone on up until this point. I think you can also now, if I was them, I'd probably be looking at that and thinking, are we backing the right horse with this guy? Are we getting good information? Is his judgment good? Because you look at, he's also had a big hand in helping Parag Maratha out at Leeds United. Leeds United, great that they got promoted, but they've now, they're already getting dragged into the relegation issue at the wrong end of the English Premier League. That was always a high possibility, but it's not what they wanted. It's not what they'd planned for. So when you look at what's happening at Leeds, when you look at what's happening with Rangers, who now have to rebuild their executive level, you do wonder if they will still be going and just as ready to go on the recommendations and judgment of Greta Steinson, who I think it's fair to say has had a hand in all of the kind of key appointments, key decisions that Rangers have had to make since the American owners come in. That'll
You
be
mentioned
interesting.